starts it. Can you hold that? One of you introduce it. Sojo. Somebody introduce it.
Shall I do it?
Yeah.
Right, come on. So here we are in Trnava in Slovakia, just a couple of hours away from kick-off between Slovakia and England. Of course, Sam Allardyce's first match as the England manager. Terry Butcher, former England captain, Ian Dennis, our senior football reporter, with me. And you can only imagine how Sam Allardyce will be feeling just at this moment, Terry.
Well, he said yesterday at the press conference that he's going to feel very nervous. I think the first 5-10 minutes he will feel nervous, but he'll soon get into it. He'll pop a few sticks of gum into his mouth as he normally does, chews away on the touchline, and just let the events take care of themselves. But he's been looking forward to this for a long time, and as we all have really as well.
I heard you on 5 Live this morning, Terry, describing Sam Allardyce as a common sense manager. I thought that summed it up very well.
Well, his common sense, naming the team 2 days before, making sure that the players, he gives himself time to work on the players, probably more time than any other England manager. I can't remember an England manager giving the team away so early or announcing the team. So we were all shocked about it, and I think it's been a good thing because he's now fully prepared, as you can be really, especially on set plays. And I think that's where England will be defined even more when it comes to set plays.
Yeah. I should say as well, by the way, that if you want to send us some questions, do so. Sensible questions, otherwise Terry will be after you. Ian, what about this decision to name the team 48 hours in advance? What are we thinking about that?
Well, I've been covering England now for about 7 years, and I can't recall the last time a manager did it. So it certainly hasn't happened since 2009. Obviously, in rugby union, it happens quite a lot. I think it's a bold move. I think it's refreshing. I think it shows confidence in the players, but also confidence in his own ability as well from Sam Allardyce. And I know why he's done it, because as we saw at the Euros, the team was leaked. And I think the FA this time have actually managed to get control of that situation, and they're the ones who've delivered the news. So I hope it continues, because I just think it helps everybody. And I mean, you spoke to Sam yesterday, so you know what his thoughts are on it. And hopefully they get 3 points and onwards and upwards for him.
I don't know whether you noticed there, but the man behind Ian, it's a big occasion, England coming to Trnava. He's just been cleaning the lift while Ian was talking. But I think Sam Allardyce felt that it would be inevitable that the team would come out, because that's how it's been, hasn't it? And Roy Hodgson did get quite touchy about that, didn't he, as the months and the years went by.
Well, as commentators, you know that sometimes we get the team in advance and you just sit on it and it helps with your preparation, but it's an unwritten rule that you wait until the time when it's public knowledge, and then that's when you go to air with it. And I remember speaking with Roy Hodgson in Nice, and we were pitch side, and he gave me a couple of ideas as to which way they were going to go, and he was quite jovial that night on the eve of that game, and his last words were, "Don't worry, the team will be out soon anyway." So he knew that it was going to get leaked, because it was happening throughout. It's been a recurring theme with England over a number of years. In Rio in Brazil, they actually found some of the press spying in a block of flats overlooking the training camp at Urca, and 2 journalists were actually banned as a result of that. So it's very much a game of cat and mouse with certain journalists. So the fact that the FA have done this, I think, has taken a little bit of the fun out of it as far as they're concerned. But sometimes it comes from agents. There's other ways it can leak out. But because Sam Allardyce wants the 2 days leading up to a game to focus on the structure of the team, he decided that he's not going to take any chances this time. He's going to put it out. Whether it continues remains to be seen.
And it is, isn't it, Terry? I mean, you know, as a player and as a manager, that this is something that normally it's shrouded in secrecy, isn't it? And if the team is leaked by anyone, that's like that's a heinous crime.
Yeah, but I think the players look at it now, well, someone's going to say, someone's going to tell their family, someone from the family's going to tell someone else, a friend and a colleague, and someone tells a reporter, or it's in the papers, but you know it's going to happen. And it's so frustrating as a manager, because you don't want the team to come out. You want to keep your team sort of secret, particularly if you've got injuries, particularly if you're working on things, particularly if you're giving players debuts and things like this. But I think with Sam now, it's like, well, there's my team. And it's not necessarily given the formation away, well, it hasn't given the formation away, just given the personnel away. So he's saying, right, these are my starting 11. It's up to you now to find out how we're going to play, and it's up to you to combat that. And there's obviously going to be a variety of ways that England can play, so it's not going to be one strict system. You never finish a game with the system that you started generally. So I think it's good from Sam's point of view. And I think it just relaxes the players as well. There's no one going to spill the beans, and no finger pointing within the squad.
Is the big thing today, in terms of the performance from England, just to see whether Sam Allardyce. What else Sam Allardyce is able to get out of this England team? This is very similar to the last team that Roy Hodgson picked for the ill-fated game against Iceland. What more Sam Allardyce can get out of them?
Well, he's got to get a performance out of them today. Roy fouled in that, but I don't think that was Roy's fault on the day. I think the players just froze. England can't afford that. They don't want to get off to a slow start. As Wayne Rooney said yesterday in a conference, you want to hit the ground running and make sure you get 3 points in the first game because it helps. This is a difficult game. I don't believe it's the hardest game in the group, but they're treating it as the hardest game in the group because they're prepared properly. But I just look at Sam and the way that he goes about his work. He was very well organised, very disciplined. Everybody will know their job, and I'm really looking forward to set plays. I really am. I mean, England's set plays have been awful really recently, and hopefully Harry Kane won't be taking the corners and the free kicks, and somebody else will, and he'll be nodding them in the back of the net, and that's exactly what we want to see.
So in theory, this is the hardest game in the group, Sarah. But you think, I guess, the Scotland games,
Scotland away will be, I think, 10 times harder than this.
I think what your previous question to Terry about what he wants to add. I know you spoke with Sam yesterday. When I spoke to Sam 2 weeks ago, the one thing he was looking to maintain was the flair that England showed in the last qualifying period. But I think the one thing that he can add is resilience, and that brittleness that Martin Glenn talked about that exposed England flaws in the Euros. I think that if they come under a tricky period here, and Sam Allardyce is expecting Slovakia to come out of their traps, that first 15, 20 minutes, maybe where they have to just dig in, be a little bit resolute. That's the one thing that I think England will look to add under Sam Allardyce.
Yeah. And I think it's worth pointing out, isn't it, that Slovakia have a very good recent home record. This is a new stadium that we're in here, which has only just recently been rebuilt. They've not lost here, they've only played a handful of matches here, but going back over the course of the last couple of years, they've lost only one of their last 13 home matches in qualifying and in friendlies. They beat Spain here. Remember, back before the Euros, they won, admittedly, a friendly 3-1 against the Germans just before the Euros. And okay, they put in they were well beaten, weren't they, by Germany in the last 16, but they are a force to be reckoned with.
No, they certainly are. They drew here against Latvia and against Northern Ireland 0-0, so it's very tight. Not many goals scored here, not many goals conceded from their point of view. So, and they've also beat Iceland 3-1, not here, but in the run-up to the Euros. So we couldn't beat Iceland, and Slovakia could. But it's a different era now, a different time. They've got a lot of changes from their squad as well. They've got 9 players out, and a lot of players out through injury. So Kozak's not been able to field the team that he would like. And obviously England got a few injuries too. But Sam yesterday said one thing to me that was a key factor. He didn't say. He said today that we have to field. I'm going to field my strongest team to win this game. Not the best team. I could use the word my strongest team. And I think that strength is reflected throughout the team. And he does rely on strength to win games with his clubs. And now he's doing that with England. So I'm pleased about that.
Yeah. As I say, if you have got any questions for us, then there is a question.
Clive O'Sullivan, a scoreline prediction from each of you.
Okay, well, we can do that because we were just talking about it outside.
1-0 England, Rooney scores.
2 on England, but they might have to come from behind to win.
You didn't say that outside.
I did.
Did you?
Yes. You just weren't paying attention.
Well, I normally do, Ian.
And
I'm going 1-1. I think 1-1. Yeah, and I'm not going to name the scorer, unlike you. Our friends from ITV just over there, just getting ready for the game.
Just encourage a few more questions before we go. Yeah, if you could.
All right, yeah. So do send us a few more questions. We'll be doing this for another 5 minutes or so. So get in touch.
Sean Breslin asks, do we expect there to be water breaks today, given how hot it's going to be?
No, I think the commentators will be okay going through the whole 90 minutes, so we don't need water breaks. No.
I think from memory, the temperature has to exceed, is it 30 degrees?
Yeah, it's not.
And it's only going to be about 28 by kickoff, so one would suspect that. But at the end of the day, the referee will show common sense with regards to that. But I don't think there are any planned water breaks as such.
And by the time the kickoff is here, it'll be 6 o'clock local time. Yep. So it'll be warm, but it won't be roasting hot.
No, I don't think we'll get to the stage of water breaks. So, and I don't think it'll be one of those games as well. I think it'll be very tight and very very fractious. So it won't be end-to-end stuff, which could obviously take a lot of players, take it out of a lot of players, and therefore they would need more water. So.
Just on the one or two of the players, I'd be interested to hear what you've got to say about Raheem Sterling, and because I think of all of the question marks that there are about individuals, personally I feel Sterling, because he started that game against Iceland and admittedly won the penalty, but then disappeared really from the game in the midst of a disappointing team performance. But remember, just a couple of games before that, he was being booed by England fans, and he started this season promisingly for Manchester City, but he still has an awful lot to prove in an England shirt, doesn't he?
He does, and I remember when he joined up with England last May, Ray Lewington had acknowledged that he was short of confidence. He was reluctant to get the ball to feet, and you saw that really, and it was a brave move, I think, to actually restore him in that game against Iceland, bearing in mind that Lallana, I think, up until that point, had been England's most consistent player, and Lallana was the one who made way. What you have, though, seen with Sterling this season is a player who has been completely reinvigorated by Pep Guardiola. He's had a hand in 4 goals for Manchester City with either assists or finding the back of the net. And I think with him and Lallana, depending on the shape that England play, you're going to have a lot of movement there with England. And I think bearing in mind the last time these players performed in the white shirt, "You're not fit to wear the shirt," was the deafening chant from the England supporters. So I think Sterling, I think Kane, I think Rooney, Joe Hart, they all of them have points to prove, but as a collective unit, they also have something to prove as well to try and get over the shambles of Nice.
Okay.
Last question,
Okay.
a quick answer if we can, please. Daniel George asks, Terry, who should be the England captain?
The person who is the England captain should be the England captain. That's Wayne Rooney, without a shadow of a doubt.
And can I just ask Terry as well? I think we should have a question on John Stones in your old position. What do you want to see from him today?
What Big Sam said yesterday, defenders are judged about their defending, and I think that John Stones first and foremost has to be a good defender today. I don't think he'll be under that much pressure. They play one up front, and I think that will be more of a case of him coming out and playing with the ball. But a clean sheet is imperative for England. We haven't kept a clean sheet for some time, so a clean sheet is imperative, and I think it's good to see John Stones back in, and I think this will be the start of many, many caps to come from him.
Okay, thanks Terry, thanks Ian. And so we're here in the not terribly attractive corridor of the Spartak Trnava Stadium, but we're going through now to go to the commentary position, so there'll be lots of build-up to the match on 5 Live, and then commentary on the whole thing with all of us, as I say, on BBC Radio 5 Live.